Welcome back to Trading 360. I'm Nicole Petalides, and we're live on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. So glad you're with us here on this Wednesday, hump day. We're making it through a busy week, selling off today. It's time for the big three. 3 stocks, 3 charts, 3 trades. And Rick Ducat will take us through the charts. Here to take us through the trades, Aquiles Larrea Wealth Management, right here with me on set. Thank you for being here. So, look, it looks like we might have another down week, but people are buying on the dips, they tell me. Some of your thoughts on the action. What have you been doing on days that sell off?
Great strategy. Anytime you can get a discounted price for a high-quality stock, you want to be in there. You also want to buy up high-quality companies that are, say they lost in terms of earnings. They didn't make the earnings, and there's an opportunity there to pick them up. We as value managers like to go in, like to buy them at this significantly discounted price. So I think the tariff talk, and now with the inflation talk, this is not new news. This is stuff that we've talked about before. This is stuff that everybody has known about. But now the question becomes, is it going to be a long-term thing to hurt us long-term?
All right. Well, you have a few names now. The Teladoc and Reddit we're all familiar with. KC, less so. Kingsoft was brought to you by some people you know. Let's check it out. Tell us a little bit about this story that has really run up from $2 to nearly $19.
Yeah, it's been an amazing stock, has been poised for exponential growth. We believe that this is a cloud-based Chinese company in terms of the potentiality that they have in terms of the stock growth. We're easily looking at a 10 to 15% move on the upside. We also believe that this company is going to be a leader in its sectors, and we're not the only ones. There's a lot of houses across the street that are putting buy recommendations. We're simply initiating the coverage for it right now. I want this to be like a Palantir, like we did last year at this time. We talked about Palantir at $17. I see similar potential with KC at this time.
Wow, that's exciting. And Chinese stocks have been doing well lately. You've had the Lunar New Year. Let's see what Rick Ducat has to say about the charts, please, Rick.
Certainly a strong performer to the upside recently. We can see that right about here, early November, that's when things really started to take off shortly before we had this earnings event. Then you can see that from there, we have mostly stayed pretty far above our relevant moving averages that we follow here, save for this little dip, in which we did close below it here. This low point gives us kind of this kind of line of best fit trend line that we could follow here. But then this was a springboard, I guess. This was the consolidation point from which we had another very sharp rally here that took out those initial highs and also gave us a gap to keep an eye on here. So if we do keep pushing to the upside and keep following this rather steep trend line here, momentum would have to catch up a little bit right now. You can see we had a bit of a dip. We broke through our RSI trend line already. However, it is still pushing back above that overbought area. So it'll be an interesting situation to see if we can muscle out some new highs in this name here and reassert this trend. So if we were to look to the upside, the +3 standard deviation channel, 3 standard deviations above our blue linear regression line, comes in at about 1920. So that could be a potential resistance point to consider. To the downside, this kind of gap type area here, the highs that we had before our gap up, 1350, 1284, that would be a key point to watch as well going forward if the move starts to fall apart, Nicole.
Look, it wasn't that long ago that we saw UBS put a buy rating, as you noted. They had a target of 1250. This was in early December. It certainly surpassed that. I mean, what kind of upside do you see here? It's at $17.86 today. What do you think it could hit?
I mean, realistically, in the near term, we're looking at anywhere between 15 to 17%. And when I say near term, I do mean 12 months. If we're going out 18 months, we could be surprised. This could be another, like I said, Palantir, where we just see exponential growth in the sector as a whole, so we can make some extra money there.
All right, one to watch, a new name that we don't really follow closely. So thank you for that one. How about we take a look at Teladoc? What's going on there, and what were your thoughts recently?
Teladoc is interesting from the fact that this is still new, where people are kind of, I would say the younger generation is still getting into this right now, making those calls to the doctor on hand. But there are a lot of issues and a lot of challenges. So they're going and they're acquiring, say, before someone needs the actual examination. They purchased a company called Catapult that's going to do that on a regular basis for them. What I see for the future for them is that they are going to have a conglomerate of companies help them with all the examinations that will need to happen. So strategic alliances aside, we could be seeing 10% on this stock in a 12-month period. We also see high quality. The problem here is the unknown is the near term. Are we going to face the same challenges that other Humana, Cigna are facing at this point? Because as the sector goes, Nicole, the whole, this will be affected by that.
Okay, so we'll watch for that. So you see 10 to 14% upside for Teladoc. Let's see what the charts and the technicals tell. Rick Duquette.
Yeah, so when we look at this one, it's an interesting situation with a long, gradual decline that took us down here to 676. Really, more than gradual, it was kind of a painful move there. But nevertheless, we are up 85% from that point, making a very modestly sloping upward trend line here in blue. But recently, it's been rather exciting here. Look at the heavy volume that we've seen, volume that was at least 50% above the 50-day simple moving average of volume. These volume spikes here, all on the up days. All of that suggests strong conviction on the part of traders during this surge to the upside here. Now you can see that we also took out this previous set of highs near about 1239, as well as our long-term purple 252-day exponential moving average. So we're breaking above some key areas. Notice as well that we are retreating back to those old highs near 1240 or so. It's common for stocks that break out to have a bit of a drop back to earth and retest those old highs. Old resistance becomes new support. I'm certainly not saying that's what's going to happen, but it's a common situation for the trend to continue after that happens here. So now to consider our standard deviation channels and volume profile. Well, you can see the heavy trading, the volume profile point of control is down here at 936. So that could be suggestive that a bottom is potentially in here. We also have nodes here around 13 and here around 15. And we are rejected at our +2 standard deviation channel, so that could be a boundary around 1365. To the downside, though, we've got our confluence right here, our moving average and our old highs just below like 1240, Nicole.
Okay, thank you. Sometimes you see the reversion to the mean. Sometimes you see some catalyst that takes something off. I mean, Bank of America has a $13.50 target. You see much more to the upside on this one. This is today, Bank of America put that. Your final thoughts on this name?
Yeah, don't expect it to jump overnight. I am looking on the more conservative side of 18 months to get that double-digit return. But if the sector behaves well, we should see a real move to the upside on this. And if you want something cheap in the sector, this is it.
Okay. And last but not least, we take a look at Reddit, a name you liked some time ago. We've had on the CEO here on our network. It's been an incredible performer. Look at this. I mean, right now it went from $37 up to $230. Some of your thoughts on where it could head now at $217.
Yeah, we had to. It's funny. We were here 2 months ago, and it was, in the 170 range, and now it's in the 211, 218 range. My thoughts immediately is that I have to revise my goals on the upside. So I'm thinking 250, 252 in the near term. And I am thinking that is conservative at this point. If the conditions persist, the basics remain the same, Nicole, we should see this stock shoot up really nice in the next 18 months.
Wow.
I also think that I might be a little conservative on that number, because if you look at just last year's numbers and the earnings that they were coming along with, even though they were new, you still have a company that's high quality and an opportunity to make money on an undervalued sector.
Okay, what do you think here? I mean, he really sees some upside, 250 even. Tell us a little bit about the chart, please, Rick.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's an interesting company as well here. We were talking about it earlier today that oftentimes, Jenny and I were saying we use Reddit to figure out the solutions to common problems. I often use it when I'm trying to figure out something in Microsoft Excel. I find the answer most often through Reddit, to be honest with you. Nevertheless, we can see that the performance has been a pretty strong upward sloping channel here. We topped out recently around 230.41. A bit of a false breakout there, unfortunately, for the bulls. We were pushing above that upward channel, but now we have retreated. We have not really tested those old highs that we had, kind of around 207 or so. So that would be one area to keep in mind to the downside if price deteriorates further. RSI also interrupted. We did see a decline below that green trend line and below that overbought area around the same time there. So a bit more of a bearish signal, but really not something that would be too much cause for alarm, I think most people would think, because it's common for momentum to slow down when a stock heads into earnings or any other kind of known event risk type situation here. So not really too terribly concerning in that regard. But now we can see here that if we were to keep moving to the upside, we are quite close currently to our +1 standard deviation channel, which coincides with the upper boundary of our channel. So around 223 perhaps could be one upside area to watch, then the highs near 230, then the +2 standard deviation channel just below 275. To the downside, the old highs here near 207, and then another series of highs that we saw during this consolidation phase around 182, and then right here, volume node, linear regression line, orange 63-day EMA around 169, Nicole.
Right. Thank you for those charts today. Rick Ducat, great to see you. Aquiles Larrea here on set. We appreciate that you brought us KC and also Teledoc and Reddit today. Thank you so much. Aquiles Larrea of Larrea Wealth Management and the Big Three. Thank you.